Okay guys, so now what we're going to look at is some density concept. So remember that density equals mass per volume. It usually tells us how heavy something is. And the way that we're going to see that is that I have two glasses. The bottom one has oil and the top one has water that I put a colorant in it so we can see that it has a different color than the oil. So usually we said that density kind of like tells us how heavy something is. In this situation, the volume of both glasses is exactly the same, and therefore we're going to be looking at their mass differences and also, of course, their densities. Now, like I was saying before, density has to do with how heavy a material is, and we can compare that in terms of, let's say that you have two different beads and they're actually the same size, so they're the same exact volume. One of them is made out of lead and the other one is made out of wood. Which one will actually have more density, or which one will actually be heavier? You probably will know that the one that has lead will actually feel heavier. So that has to do with the density of lead. Now, the great thing about density is that it doesn't depend on how much you have, it's always the same number. So the density of water is always going to be 1.00 grams per centimeters cubed, regardless of how much you have. If you have more mass, that means that you have more volume. And if you have more volume, you'll have more mass. But the density is always going to be the same. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to remove this glass piece and see what happens with the water and the oil, okay? Okay, so let's see how I can move this. Hopefully, I'm gonna go this way. It's kind of like removing a tablecloth from a table and trying not to knock everything. So I know that I'm gonna lose some liquid, but I'm not going to get upset about it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so again, I lost some liquid, but let's see what happens. Okay, wow, you can see that we reversed it. You can see that the oil went up and the water is actually back down. So that shows you that water is more dense than this oil. And the oil that I use is veggie oil. Just, you can try this at home. And this actually gives us also the explanation of the oil spills. Why if there's an oil spill, the oil stays on top of the ocean water is because it's less than the water, and therefore it affects a lot of wildlife. So you can try this at home. It's really safe. If you don't have a piece of glass, you can get also a piece of plastic. I tried to use also some hard plastic from a bucket or ice cream bucket, and I think that will just work just fine. All right, I hope you enjoy this.